The stage lights were blinding, yet the boy stood frozen in their glow, his bare feet trembling against the polished floor. His clothes hung loosely, worn, faded, the kind that told silent stories of hunger and hard days. The audience whispered, some smiled politely, others looked confused. He held the old microphone like it was a piece of hope, and for a moment, he couldn't breathe. Then came that first note, soft, broken, trembling. On a dark desert highway, the air shifted. People leaned forward, unsure why tears welled in their eyes so suddenly. The voice wasn't just sound, it was soul, scraped raw by years of struggle and love. He wasn't singing a song, he was telling a lifetime. In that trembling voice was the sound of sleepless nights, of prayers whispered over empty plates, of a mother's fragile hands holding him through storms. As his voice rose, he remembered her saying, "One day, they'll listen." When the final note fell into silence, no one moved. A full breath later, the crowd erupted, cheers, sobs, disbelief. One of the judges, known for his cold critiques, stood up first. This is history," he said softly. But the boy didn't hear. He was looking up, whispering, "This one's for you, Mom." Days earlier, there had almost been no song to sing. The boy had sat outside his tiny house, watching the rain drip through the holes in the roof. His mother lay inside, coughing, too weak to move. The little money they'd saved for medicine was gone, stolen by a neighbor who'd promised to help. He felt helpless, his heart breaking under the weight of hopelessness. "Maybe music can't feed us," he'd said bitterly. But his mother smiled, that soft, tired smile that never left her. "Music doesn't feed the body, my son. It feeds the soul. And souls feed miracles." That night, he borrowed an old radio from a friend and tuned into a song he'd never heard before, Hotel California. The melody wrapped around his sadness like a blanket. He practiced for nights, his voice echoing off tin walls, a small light flickering beside him. When the audition call came, he almost didn't go. He didn't have proper clothes, not even shoes. But he took his mother's photo, folded it carefully into his pocket, and walked miles to the bus stop. Before leaving, she whispered faintly, "Don't sing to win. Sing to heal." Those words became his heartbeat. As he sang the final chorus on stage, his voice cracked, a sound so human it broke the audience's composure. One of the judges, known for his icy expression, blinked rapidly, fighting tears. When he heard the words, "You can check out any time you like, but you can never leave," something inside him broke open. He saw himself as a boy, sitting beside his own mother's hospital bed, promising to make her proud. The memory hit hard. A single tear rolled down his cheek. Cameras zoomed in, the moment was raw, unfiltered, real. The boy's voice faded, and for a heartbeat, the world fell silent. Then the judge rose from his seat, walked toward the stage, and embraced the trembling singer. "That wasn't a performance," he said softly. "That was truth." The boy's eyes flooded. The audience stood, clapping, crying, cheering. Millions watched online, replaying it endlessly, not for perfection, but for the emotion that made them remember their own mothers, their own pain, their own hope. It wasn't fame that moved them, it was honesty. When the cameras stopped, he ran to the hospital, still in his audition clothes. He carried flowers sent by fans, his first ever gift of fame. His mother lay unconscious, the rhythmic beep of machines filling the room. "Mom," he whispered, holding her hand, "I sang your song." He played her the recording on his borrowed phone. The room filled with his own voice, fragile, full of love. A flicker of movement. Her fingers twitched. A nurse gasped. He leaned closer. Her lips moved faintly, her eyes opening just enough to whisper, "You did it, you made them listen." Tears fell freely down his face as her heartbeat strengthened. The doctors called it impossible, but he called it faith. In that moment, fame disappeared, only love remained. He didn't care about trending charts or interviews. He only wanted this, his mother's weak smile, her touch, her pride. Outside, people gathered with candles, singing Hotel California softly, united by a story that had become bigger than a competition. The boy looked through the window and whispered, "Now I know. Music heals." Months later, the stage lights returned, but this time, they weren't blinding. He stood tall, barefoot again, surrounded by children wearing the same kind of worn clothes he once did. He had used his prize money to start a small music school, a place for those with voices the world never heard. Tonight, they were performing together, a chorus of hope. On a dark desert highway, they sang, voices trembling yet full of light. In the front row, the judge who once cried sat smiling, his eyes glistening again. On the big screen behind them glowed a picture of his mother, radiant, strong, proud. The song ended, but the silence that followed was sacred. The boy stepped forward, bowed deeply, and said into the microphone, "This isn't my story. It's ours, everyone who ever believed when life said no." The crowd rose to their feet. Some cried, others smiled, all felt something they couldn't explain, the beauty of pain transformed into purpose. The boy who once sang for survival had sung his way not into fame, but into history, and into every heart that still believes kindness can change the world.